Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I have the pleasure of interviewing a young man, an amazing, incredible musician named Blessing Offor,
Hello.
in this conversation with Sarah. Blessing, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. I am so grateful that you're here and just happy to be spending this time with you. We met just over a month ago in Connecticut at a Young Audiences conference.
Indeed.
Yes, and I remember that day I walked into the room and I just felt drawn to sitting at the table that you were at, and it felt like we had a pretty instant connection.
Sarah, I think I said to you when we left, I said, I get you. You know, I know who you are.
Oh
So,
my God. I say to that, thank God, hallelujah. Oh my God, I just hearing that I'm like relax and soften.
certainly.
Mm, that means so much to me to hear this and I know I was instantly struck by your generosity of nature and spirit, just your openness and kindness when you were speaking, and it felt like you were just really easy to be with.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And then when I heard you play and sing, I was like, oh my gosh,
Shucks.
this man is amazing and just really very impressed with what you're bringing into the world, your own music, which is so beautiful and heartfelt. And also, I think you played What a Wonderful World.
I did. Yeah, Live
Yes.
strong.
Ah, that was so great. So, Blessing, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got on this path of playing music?
Well, I mean, it's funny. I met a woman yesterday, and we got into life stories, and she told me this really amazing story, and I was like, "Oh, that makes me really seem incredibly uninteresting all of a sudden." Um, I've loved songs ever since I can remember, and I love the power of music. I like that you can communicate with people with music without making them feel like you're preaching to them on any level. I like the subtle nature of it all, and the art, the discipline, the fact that you can spend an entire life and still not be perfect at anything. But in particular, songwriting, I've learned a lot about life from continuing to try to be a better songwriter. I think there's a lot of insight in it all, So I'm just trying to be the best one that I can be.
Wow. And I hear that idea of communicating, how to communicate with people in a way that they remain open instead
Sure.
of maybe closing off when they feel they're being preached to or.
Spoken down to or like belittled in any way. Because a song when you sing, half the time if you like the song, you don't even pay attention to what the song is saying. You can sing a Bob Dylan song, blowing in the wind, and you like the song so much you don't realize the song is saying something incredibly, socially aware.
Mm.
But he's getting you to embed his thoughts into your subconscious. And so I think songwriters have a uniquely powerful gift to affect the thought. And then it's something I kind of take seriously when I write songs. I want to make sure people are thinking good things and things that are going to be beneficial to them in the long run.
Mm. And I think that's so interesting what you're saying that sometimes we're just singing lyrics to a
Right,
song we love and with no connection to what that actually means.
right. And I see. I think even when you don't consciously have a connection, subconsciously it's doing things to you.
Mm.
It's bettering you, or it's poisoning you to be a little dramatic, or whatever the case may be. Whatever word you sing, whatever words your mind dwells on, whatever thoughts you may give your time to, really makes who you are. And so, as musicians and artists, really dealing with the human spirit, I think, more directly than most other mediums. I think it's our responsibility to make sure we're giving people the right the right, spiritual foods to eat as opposed to things that are going to be detrimental in the long run.
I mean, that I really hear that. It's like the a responsibility of an artist, and ultimately I guess we can choose whatever we want to put out there.
Yeah.
And again, what I'm hearing you say is that whether we know it or not, things affect us on all levels.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and I also think on like an energetic level as well. I know there have been times in my life where I've really enjoyed like grooving out to certain styles of music like R&B and kind
Yeah.
of popular rap and that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. And even just popular music. And when I start listening to the lyrics and start
Like, whoa.
yeah, I start
Yeah,
sensing into how my body feels or
right.
what energy is activated by listening to this song or that song, I start to understand like, whoa, wait, this isn't that kind of energy I'm trying to connect with.
But it's really the power of music in that it's so seductive, that you find yourself saying and thinking and speaking and feeling before your mind even processes it. It's beyond the consciousness. When you hear James Taylor sing a song, or you hear a song you like from, say, I mean, anybody, I don't know, songwriters that you might, what's her name? Carly Simon,
Mm-hmm.
anybody. Um, it just goes right to your heart, and your mind doesn't even think. It takes you somewhere. It does something to you before the brain and the analytical part of your consciousness can even start to. And that's the beauty of a perfectly written song, is that it bypasses every attempt to analyze it. It's right to the heart.
Oh.
For better or worse, sometimes the worst songs are great and they go right to the heart, and you end up planting seeds you don't really mean to plant.
Right. I am so intrigued by what you're saying. I'm just eating up every bite. I love it.
Sure.
And I think that how powerful is that music can cut through all of our logistical
Yeah.
functionings and go straight to the heart and connect
Right.
with our emotional body and our energy body, even our imagination body. All of a sudden there I am listening to the song and I'm having a fantasy, like a love relationship, or
Yeah.
some man that's perfect I'm like all of a sudden in my mind.
Absolutely.
Mm.
It is the power of I mean, writing. When you read a really good book, I read Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh yeah.
I think everybody read Eat, Pray, Love, but like I'm voracious about that stuff, like books in general, not romance novels in particular. But I read the book and I was really upset because at the end, she ends up being with the guy in a way, she ends up involving herself in a romantic relationship with him when she promised herself that she would take a year off and blah blah blah. And I was kind of sad because I thought it was an unfortunate note to end on, that the goal of bettering yourself like took second place to this whirlwind romance. And I don't know if that was just me at the moment or whatever the case might have been, but I think those kinds of books that deal with like instant gratification and this kind of stuff, that can also cut through the psyche. Someone would read that, and instead of thinking it through, might say, you know what, I'm going to go find the perfect man, and they would forget about the part where she went on this great adventure to Italy and India and all these other places. And so I think artists just in general have quite the responsibility to everybody who they affect with their art.
Well, and it is quite an adventure. I mean, reading a book, listening to a song. I'm actually thinking now, what comes up for me and has a lot in the past when I hear a song that really cuts through everything straight to
Hmm.
the heart is in my mind. I can see myself dancing
Right,
to it, and
right.
I can just see myself doing things that like maybe at this point in my physical ability, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Like, I can see myself doing these things that I want to do.
Right.
And it's so inspiring. And it's funny, that doesn't happen for me so much right now, but
Right.
there have been moments in my life where all of a sudden I am just off in seeing the most beautiful dance in my mind.
For sure. How, I mean, I'm sure dancers compose, right? What's your process like?
Well, I'll be honest. One of my favorite forms of dance is to
Right.
just improv,
Okay.
to freeform move to a song that is really doing just that, cutting straight through everything to
Right.
the essence beingness of my quality,
Mm,
and just expressing whatever is called for in the moment.
absolutely.
When I am choreographing something, and I'm a pretty new choreographer. I've been dancing for many years,
Right.
but I am new to choreography. I think for me, what I like to think of, and one of my dance partners, Sean Ortiz, said this: what's your story? What are you trying to convey here?
Right. Right. Right.
Because that's important. And so I think about that and then just start to move freely to the music and
Right.
capture it on video so I can look at it and say, ooh, I really like the way that looked. It felt amazing in the moment. That's
Right.
what I want to do.
Okay. That's awesome. When sometimes when I write songs, you get to the point where you realize you're thinking too much and you're writing analytically as opposed to truthfully.
Mm,
And they're not necessarily mutually opposed, but um, sometimes when you write more from the heart, it feels even if it's not technically perfect, it's right, it's correct. You know what I mean? So I can totally understand you wanting to freeform and then pick what was right about that freeform or what was more technical about that freeform, and then but in the freeform, you're going right from the heart. So you're kind of combining the best of those two worlds.
totally, totally. And what's coming to my mind as I'm thinking of this woman, uh, Rosangela Silvestre. She's
Hmm.
from Brazil, and I just actually met her in Montreal last weekend, just by chance, waiting for the bus. And she is,
You were in Canada.
yeah, yeah. I was facilitating a workshop in movement mindfulness meditation at a dance congress called the Unity Congress,
Excellent.
and I've looked up her work and I was watching a video of her dance today and I was like, oh my God, that's how I want to be on the dance floor. Like,
Right.
just so free and so in myself, in my power, and clear, and also flowing and moving, and then, just really connected.
Right.
And I was just so inspired by seeing her dance today. Yeah, but this is kind of what it's helping me think about is those moments that you do capture, and then as a choreographer, I don't always remember exactly what I did, so
Right.
that's why it's helpful for me to capture it on video. But there is something so powerful about just freestyling.
Yeah, I think so. It's not pretentious. It's like you and your child, you and like the 6-year-old you, kind of, you're getting back in touch with the inner child that does whatever feels good, because
Yes,
it feels good, and there's something really honest about that.
give thanks.
Mm.
Well, I'd love to hear you play a little bit. Do you want to play us a snippet of a tune right
I think
now?
I think I can do that.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I think what I played for you was Roots.
Yes. Oh my God, I love this song. Blessing and I may be collaborating with this one, people, so stay tuned.
Absolutely. So I'll give you a little snippet of Roots.
Awesome.
No, no, don't make it easy. I want you to put me to the test. Love is most powerful in action. Love is most beautiful at rest. I'm not gonna stand with you for one night and leave you lonely in the morning. I'm not gonna tell you everything is alright and leave you broken when I'm gone. I just wanna put my roots down next to you now. I just wanna put my roots down next to you now and grow together, grow together, grow together, put our roots down and grow together, grow together, grow together, put our roots down.
Woo! Yay!
I'm actually in Nashville at the moment, and I went to school here, and then I moved out of Nashville because I have allergies to Nashville as much as I love the town. So you can probably hear my voice is really clogged up with pollen. So I hope it sounded okay.
Yeah. Oh, what translates just so much more is just the feeling. The feeling. I mean, I just had chills, listening to you sing, and the melody is so heartfelt. It's just such a beautiful expression.
Thank you so much. I'm every time I hear the reaction to that by anybody, it makes me really feel like I did something right. I'm really grateful for that.
Yes. Oh, give thanks. I mean, I just hear how important it is for you to make that specific contribution to others.
Certainly.
Now, how did you get into music? I mean, for the young aspiring musicians out there in the world, what's your story?
I got a piano really young, and I didn't really like playing. And then when I was around 10, I decided this thing wasn't so bad, and it became actually a lot of fun. So it took some maturity. I always meet the parents that tell me how they want to put their kids in lessons and make their kids sit there and play forever. And the thing is, no one ever told me to practice. It was just something I did. I was that kid in high school that would like not go to a party so I could sit home and write a song.
Wow.
So this was what I wanted, and I feel like when you want something and it's for you, then you put in 110%. And in doing that, you learn a lot about discipline, and you learn a lot about just life. I think anything that demands discipline of you is a life something that teaches you about life. I've learned so much. When I was 14, one of my mentors, I played him a song, and he said to me, "This is terrible. Why are you wasting my time with this?" And I was so crushed. I was like, "No, what do you mean?" And he says, "Listen, I know you're talented, and I know you want to do this professionally, so I'm going to treat you, even though you're 14, like I would a grown man
Wow.
wants to do this for a living." And he set the bar that high for me.
Ah.
And so at 14, he told me some really harsh things that were true.
Mm.
At the moment, I was like, this guy's mean. And I went through like a few weeks of not talking to him. And then when I took his suggestions, I was like, oh, but he's right. You know what I mean? And I learned so much just about how the things you need aren't always the things you want right then. And how the things that are the best for you don't always feel the best at the moment. Just there's so much symbolism in needing to get better and hearing things you don't want to hear, but it's for your own good in the long run, and maturing. And it really, really it did wonders for me. And I wouldn't, all his words that he gave me back then at 14, as much as they hurt at that moment, it was the best thing he could have ever done for me.
Wow.
So there've been moments like that where it hurts at that moment, but you're just, in looking back, you say, wow, that was the best thing ever. And then it helps you to deal in the future with other disappointments. You have a history to look back on and say, okay, I remember when this was a disappointment, but here's what came of it. And so you learn to deal with pain and disappointment differently because you remember the past, and there's so much, you know what I mean?
I hear such a powerfully important message here for all of us. I'm shaking my head saying, "Oh yeah, I mean, I can definitely relate to that even as an adult,
Yeah,
um and also how there's this part of me that sometimes wants to champion youth so much, like by congratulating them, acknowledging them. Oh my God, you're doing a great
right,
job. And
right,
then it's almost like we kind of get into a disservice when
absolutely.
we're not willing to give developmental feedback as well as supportive feedback.
Listen, not everybody can win first place.
Right.
And it's okay. It's totally fine. And not every song I write is the best song, and that's fine
Mm,
because unless you know where the best, what the best song is and why, you have no way of improving, and you
right.
have nothing to strive for. And I think my kids are gonna, they're probably not gonna like me for a while until they get a little bit older and they realize that I meant them well. I don't have kids now, but uh, there's a lot to be said for lessons like that are just not fun at the moment, but they set you up for a way better outlook as a grown up.
Well, and I think what I'm hearing too is that your mentor wasn't speaking to you in like a abusive way, a demeaning way, a rude way. He just was being very straightforward
Absolutely.
and from a place of like empowered
Right.
love and choice.
Right. And loving someone is not always fun. Loving someone is not always like, oh, you're the best man. You know what I mean? Sometimes loving someone, hey, that song is terrible and you need to improve because I know you can.
Yeah, like he's holding your highest potential
Exactly. Exactly.
always at the forefront.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in doing that, it wasn't because he was seeing the me that wasn't quite developed yet, and he was pushing the me that was there to that, to the better me, if any of that makes sense. And so, at the moment, I didn't see that, but I'm glad he did.
Yeah. Ah,
Growing pains.
yes. So, what kind of advice would you give to these young aspiring musicians who are out there, watching the voice and watching, these
Yeah.
shows that they could potentially get that big deal or that big break, but for the ones who don't want that, who just want to share their message with the world.
I think the thing that I've learned is that there's no substitute for discipline. And, I always have to readjust my compass and make a point that, if you're in it for fame and money, then you're probably in the wrong business. Uh, and if you're in it for accolades, then, you're probably in the wrong business because sometimes you don't get those, and sometimes you get way more than you deserve for doing nothing. You know what I mean? And it's not an industry that necessarily rewards the hardest worker.
Mm,
Um, And also, I think it boils down to what do you want to do with the platform you may have. Like I said, music is really powerful, and if you have all these kids and adults listening to you and you have nothing to say to better them, then you're really wasting everybody's time, even though you may be making money.
mm.
So, someone said to me once, he says, "Only you know how much time you spend with your instrument." You can fool people, but if you want to practice for an hour and pretend like you're all set, then go ahead. But it's going to come out at some point. But if you want to spend day in and day out sharpening yourself, so to speak, then that'll come out too.
Mm.
So really, it's just about being honest with yourself, and when no one's looking, what are you doing? Are you practicing when no one's looking? Or are you just deciding it's hard and boring and just going off and doing your own thing?
Mm.
And I think that's really the difference, between like really meaning to do something, anything really, not just music. Being disciplined about something is really about what happens when no one's looking. What do you do?
Wow. I am just really resonating with what you're saying, and I hear that. It's like, ooh, Salut.
Yeah.
um, it's, yeah, what are we doing when no one's watching, or when we think no one's watching?
Exactly. Exactly.
And yeah, and I also really hear that essence of, so what do you want to do with this bigger platform?
Mm, yeah. Whew, it's heavy.
That's a huge, I feel enlightened, like opening, like it is. That's a deep question.
Yeah,
And what an importantly powerful question
absolutely.
for us as, adults to ask, for youth to ask, for our elders, the third age
Right.
to ask, what do we want to do with this platform? And potentially a huge platform.
Absolutely. And even if it's a platform of 5 people, and if when I first came to Nashville, I would do what are called writers' rounds, where 3 writers sit in a circle and trade songs back and forth. And sometimes there'd be 3 people in the audience. Um, and you get to the point where you could either be disappointed by a lack of turnout, or you could say, okay, listen, these 3 people are as important as 3,000 people. So let me play just as well for 3 people, because maybe one day there'll be, to whom much is given, much is required, so to speak. And if you can't be trusted with a little, how can you be trusted with a lot? So there's a lot to be said for doing your best with whatever you have.
I have chills all over. If you could see my arm right now, you'd see the little goosebumps popping up everywhere. Wow. Like, and that's something I'm learning in my own life right at this very moment. Like, every person that I meet and touch and they touch me, it is special and powerful and meaningful. And how can I bring myself fully, whether it's one person or a million people, and treat them all like my brother, my sister, my mother, treat them all like myself, essentially. That's powerful.
Love thy neighbor.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's just a lot to be said for, I think so many people just go crazy about wanting to be, Lady Gaga or any of this stuff, when really just we all have an opportunity to affect somebody on a daily basis. And what do you do with that?
Right. How do we do that? Well, I want to talk to you just a little bit about what you have going on with your visual,
Sure.
your visual sensations. What's happening there?
My visual sensations. Well, nothing much is happening there, which I think is a problem.
Well, problem, I'm putting problem in parentheses.
Yeah. Well, I have congenital glaucoma I had since birth. And then my retina detached when I was about 10. And that was the majority of the vision loss.
Okay.
And I think right around 10 was when I started playing the piano. So, one door closes and another one opens, kind of thing. Maybe.
Oh my gosh, good thing.
Yeah, so, it's actually not even something I think about much anymore. So I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's just not seeing. It's not the end of the world.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Yeah, there are of course other questions I want to ask you about that, and at the same time I'm feeling like, can we hear another song, a little snippet of another song?
Sure, we can.
All right.
How about I do? Let's do. I see trees of green, red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces. People going by, I see friends shaking hands. They say, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. How's that?
Woo! Ah, I'm enlightened. How do y'all feel out there? Well, Blessing, I know there is so much more we can talk about. Maybe we can do another interview sometime. You have an album coming out. When does that happen?
It should start. We're going to start putting out singles probably in mid-July sometime. I'm playing at a festival in Connecticut in July, on July 19th. If anybody's in Connecticut, it's going to be in Hamden, Connecticut.
Okay.
And right around then, we're going to start releasing snippets. We're going to release, I think, a single every 2 months, along with video content and behind-the-scenes stuff. So it'll be a lot of fun really fast. And I think you guys will be really impressed by the record, as yet untitled. But if you go to blessingoffor.com, OFFOR.com, you can keep up, and Twitter and Facebook and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, absolutely. And do you have an email address where people can greet you as well?
It's like it's blessingoffor@gmail.com.
All right. Sounds perfect. And what's the name of this festival is it Camden?
Hamden.
Hamden.
It's it's actually the town I grew up in, and every summer they do Friday night kind of four nights of festivaling on Friday nights, and it's just a summer festival. And I'm opening for a doo-wop group on the 19th, so that should be a lot of fun. Bring your picnic basket and your family, and have a good time.
That sounds great. And I just want to thank you again so much for being here with us today.
Sarah,
I'm Sarah Haykel. You can find out more about the work that I'm doing in the world at sarahhaykel.com. And sign up for these interviews, receive them hot off the presses and straight into your inbox. Blessing, I look so forward to hearing more about what you're up to.
And hopefully we'll see you in Buffalo in like August sometime, right?
Absolutely, yep. We've got irons in the fire. I'm starting to reach out to people and see what we can co-create together to bring you.
Can't wait.
And holler at Blessing Offor if you want him to come to a town near you.
Yes, please. We do it. Once the record comes out, we'll be doing a lot of house concerts.
Okay.
And please, we'd love to. We can do anything as small as piano vocal, which would just be myself, or we can bring a band. Whatever you want to do, we have a really good time with it.
That is so great. And what are house concerts?
Now, a house concert is kind of a more intimate way to play for people and meet people. I'm a sociable kind of guy. I know it's hard to tell. But I really, really I have a thing for people. I love people. And a house concert is essentially me in your living room.
Wow.
For you. And, we break bread. We share pizza or whatever you want. And we just hang. And, instead of me playing a song and then leaving on stage, I can play a song and you can pick my brain about how the song was written and all this kind of stuff. I really like it. It's very intimate and personal and lets you know people that like your music instead of them kind of coming to watch you. It's like you both kind of get to learn about each other.
Oh my God. So people,
Yeah.
You know how to contact this man. Blessing Offer, OFFOR.com, Blessing Offer at gmail.com. Hook him up.
Yes.
Invite him to your home and to your next family gathering, friends gathering. This is so exciting.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yes, thank you so much. And signing off for now, we'll be in touch. I'm looking forward to August.
Me too. Ciao.
Yes. Ciao for now and many blessings.
Likewise. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the gift that you offer to all
Oh,
of
thank you
us.
so much.
Take care, Blessing.
Bye.
Bye.